you've been paying attention to Long Island lately, you've probably noticed something very interesting is happening. And that is that a lot of people are moving to Long Island, but at the same time, some longtime homeowners are quietly starting to leave. And one of the biggest reasons behind that conversation is something people don't always talk about openly enough. And that is school districts and the taxes tied to them. Now, before I even start, I want to be very clear about something. This is not about saying one district is good or bad. That's not what this video is about, because every buyer has different priorities, different budgets, and different things that matter to them. And what I want to talk about is the financial and lifestyle reality tied to Long Island school districts and why it's becoming a major factor in people deciding whether to stay on Long Island long term. Because honestly, this conversation affects almost every buyer and homeowner out there. So that being said, let's start with the first thing that people need to understand, and that is that school districts are deeply connected to Long Island property values. And honestly, this is one of the biggest reasons Long Island real estate behaves the way that it does. So a lot of people who are buying houses moving from the city are specifically searching by school district boundaries before they even search by town. And because demand gets so concentrated into certain areas, prices rise very quickly. Now combine that with already limited inventory, and suddenly buyers find themselves competing aggressively for homes in specific districts. So that's one of the reasons Long Island housing stays so competitive overall. But here's where the bigger issue begins to come into play: the taxes. Because on Long Island, school taxes are a major part of your overall property tax bill. So for many homeowners, that monthly carrying cost has become harder and harder to justify over time, especially for long-time residents who bought years ago when prices and taxes were significantly lower. I've talked to homeowners who love Long Island, but they feel financially squeezed, especially retirees and empty nesters. And honestly, this is where you start seeing people make difficult decisions, because once kids are grown, some homeowners start asking themselves, do we still want to carry these taxes long term? And for many people, that's the moment they begin considering places like Florida, the Carolinas, parts of Pennsylvania, or other lower cost states across the country. Now, another thing that's happening is buyer pressure. So a lot of city families moving out to Long Island are prioritizing specific districts heavily. And because of that, prices in certain areas become extremely aggressive. And obviously that's great for some sellers from an equity standpoint, but for buyers who are trying to enter the market, it becomes very tough, especially for first-time home buyers. So I've seen buyers get shocked by how much monthly payment changes are once taxes are factored in. They qualify for the house, but then the carrying costs become overwhelming emotionally. Now, another thing people don't always realize is how much district boundaries actually impact pricing. So two homes that are physically very close to each other can have dramatically different values because of those school district lines. And obviously buyers from outside of Long Island are often stunned when they first realize how significant that can actually be. So another thing happening right now is lifestyle reevaluation. And honestly, I think this is becoming a bigger trend overall. You know, some people are asking themselves, are we paying a premium for a lifestyle that we're fully utilizing anymore? Especially now that remote and hybrid work changed commuting patterns for a lot of families. People who originally stayed on Long Island for proximity to New York City jobs and specific school districts are starting to reevaluate the overall financial picture for themselves and for their families. And honestly, this doesn't mean that people suddenly dislike Long Island. Most people leaving still love it. They love living there. And that's the interesting part. But they're weighing the cost versus the lifestyle differently than they did 10, 15, or maybe 20 years ago. So with all that said, there's a reason that demand on Long Island is still incredibly strong despite all of this, because for many buyers, Long Island still offers something that they really value, which is that suburban lifestyle. It offers the access to the city, it offers the beaches, it offers the space, it offers the tight-knit community kind of feel. And yes, school district reputation and demand absolutely remained a huge factor in why buyers move here in the first place. So this isn't some Long Island is failing conversation. It's not that at all. It's more about understanding the financial reality of living on Long Island long term. Because to be completely honest, Long Island is one of those places where lifestyle and cost are deeply tied together. And I think a lot of people looking to buy on Long Island really need to understand that before they decide to make the move, especially buyers relocating from the city who are only looking at purchase price and not fully understanding the total carrying costs. So at the end of the day, the real reason some people are leaving Long Island isn't because they suddenly hate it, it's because taxes, housing costs, and lifestyle priorities eventually force people to ask those difficult questions to themselves. And honestly, it's becoming a much bigger conversation in 2026 today than people realize. So if you're thinking about making the move to Long Island yourself and you want help understanding how different towns, taxes, and school district boundaries may affect your budget and lifestyle, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help to point you in the right direction. All of my contact information